The first thing we're going to touch on is content best practices. If you could name like 3 to 5 main things that they could start working on at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, what would those best practices be?
I have my solid 5, and I tell everyone who asks me this question, the solid 5. So anybody who's watching, hope you have your pen out so you can write it down, because there are 5 simple steps, but steps that take time, take effort and thought. The first one I have is understand your brand. Like, what it's important that you control your own narrative, right? And so I call it like your own mission statement almost. You know how Chick-fil-A has a mission statement? It's like who we are, and then they model everyone after that. Their employees literally match the mission statement. And so as a brand, as your person or your business, whatever you're doing, write down who you are, what you're trying to show to the world, right? And so for Saweetie, it was all encompassing. It wasn't ever just about music. It was about everything. It was about ultimately being a mogul, being well-rounded, touching every facet of entertainment. And if you're watching what we're doing, that's what we're doing. We're making sure we touch here, 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 not being boxed in, but that was our mission statement. That was our goal. And some people's goals are different. And so first and foremost, really write out, what am I trying to show to the world? And who am I as a brand? What am I as a brand? You know, if I know some people are not just here as artists, but as business owners, I know a lot of people are hitting me up. But, you know, if you have a business that you're showing, what does that business entail? And what am I trying to sell? But more importantly, what does this business mean, you know, to my consumers? Or as an artist, who am I as an artist? And that is the number one important piece when creating content. Because the next step after that is the creativity behind it, the actual content. It should be original. It should have a level of creativity. And me and Sweet, before we post anything, most of the time, we go back to our board, our checkboard on, does it check off the things we want people to know about us? And if it doesn't, how can we make this moment online, this small moment, whether it be a video or a photo, check all the boxes that we want to narrate to the world? The next one, besides know your brand, original and creative content, is quality. Her and I are very much so perfectionists. You won't see anything out there that doesn't look necessarily like flawless, and not just like on her personal standpoint, like beauty, but like down to the content. We will shoot something 20 times, and I'm not exaggerating, 20 times shooting it, because if we didn't get it the first time, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Never, ever, ever put out mediocre work. That's my pet peeve. Such a pet peeve of mine. I've worked with people in the past where they're like, it looks all right. It works. Oh, I hate it so much. Because I'm like, if you can do it to your best ability, why not? If you can achieve greatness and perfection, why not? And so that's my biggest thing, is before you click send, before you click post, ask yourself, does it reflect me and a business I'm trying to control the narrative to the world? Is it quality content? Does it look blurry? Stuff like that. Where people I've seen people post blurry things. And I'm like, why did you post a blurry thing if you could make it crisp? Yeah. What's the point in that? So everyone listening, I know I'm like rambling a little bit, make sure you check off, does it complete the narrative of who I am? Is it quality content? Is it original content or creative content? And I think lastly, am I being consistent with this narrative? Because if you're not, you're jumping all over the place, and today I'm this and tomorrow I'm that and this, then your audience can't grasp who you are and they leave you. Because it's like, I can't relate. I am not getting relatable things I can grasp on and hold on to. And so am I consistent with those checkpoints?
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much. Okay, so on to the next question. Following social media trends, because I've worked with artists and they're like, you know, in more in the R&B and soul category, very introspective lyrics. And they're like, I take myself way too seriously to do something like that on TikTok. So what's your take on following social media trends and jumping on it for the sake of getting followers?
So if you notice, we don't follow almost every trend. And if we do it, we try to put our own twist on it. So I do feel the soul people and the art people, because I wouldn't say stray away from trends. I would say create your own situation that mimics it in a way where you're still on par with this June bug, but you stay true to self. Because most important than any, I know every artist is wanting to stay true. You don't want to sell yourself, sell your soul essentially for the followers, for the brand, for the content. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Pre-production, direction, and editing. I think that's something that artists miss a little bit. When I talk to them, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna shoot some content. I just really try to get them to think about what all really needs to go into it, because you make it look so easy. When we see these videos, and you mentioned earlier, when you came on board, also an editor was brought on board. Like, so let's talk a little bit about the pre-production and then the post-production.
Before we shoot anything, me and the guys, they're named actually Sean and Moses. They're really dope, and they help shoot and edit all the videos and also input sometimes with ideas. But we always brainstorm before every shoot. It's very important to go into the shoot knowing at least a gist of what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, trying to shoot. Literally before every content shoot, we shoot content about twice, 2-3 times a week, scheduled on a schedule. So it's like actually like considered our work time is content schedule shooting. We have a list of things we're shooting, because also too that allows for like, what are we wearing? If you don't know what you're shooting, you don't know what to wear, you don't know location, you need to know all those things. So you need to plan it prior to. Pre-production for me doesn't take that long. I feel like I wake up with ideas all the time, just like crazy ideas the next day. And then from there, it's building that idea out. So pre-production is so important because of that, because you need to have a level of planning. I will say that I'm kind of a guerrilla style shooter. And by that is I don't like to lock in too hard on things. Usually while you're shooting, some new ideas come in. Just make sure you're writing it out, just an overview, an outline, if you will. Plan outfits if it involves that, and plan location before you shoot. And the next step is I direct usually everything we do. And so I'm the one usually saying again, again, again. And luckily I have somebody like Saweetie who's like, okay, I want to nail it. So if Sabrina feels like I should do it again, I'm going to do it again. When you're shooting your content, make sure, like I said before, it's quality. Make sure you just didn't shoot it and was like, that was good enough. Always shoot with the vision in mind and the idea you saw, try it in your head, try to execute it as best as possible in real life. And you mentioned you're super analytical. So are her and I. And so sometimes it hinders, sometimes it helps. And so what I say to everyone is watch with a different set of eyes. So I watch with my analytical eyes of me actually doing the production of it all. And like, I'm so more judgmental. Then I watch with a consumer eye, if that makes sense. And so I put those eyes on and I'm like, the world will like this. You know, I sometimes remove your own eyes, who's very critical of self, very critical of everything, and really consider how you watch other people's stuff. Use those eyes when you're analyzing your own stuff.
Yeah.
And if you feel good about that, don't stay on that thing so long, because we overanalyze captions, we overanalyze stories, we overanalyze everything. Everything we do is thought out. Nothing we do is just click and send. Nothing, not one thing that you see on Saweetie's platform is just put out. Nothing at all.
So let me ask you that question. I wanted to ask you this at the end, but you said it right here. So we try to get artists to amass 9 to 12 pieces of content. So when we see something, when did it actually start getting made?
It so varies. Some stuff we have an idea that's itching and burning, and we shoot it that day. We ask the guys the next day, can you please have it edited by tomorrow morning, please? Even though we shot it last night, some things are such itching concepts and ideas that are so relevant for right now that we're like, we need them right now, tomorrow, because it needs to come out tomorrow, because timing is so important too. We all know timing in social media is so important. And so some things have to go out, and some things, like I said, some things make sense 2 weeks later, a month later, 3 months later. We have stuff that's piled up. But I do agree with your sentiment, having things consistent. So don't shoot today and then shoot a month from now and shoot a month from now. Every time we shoot, we knock out like 2 to 3 ideas every Tuesday, Thursday. So we shoot 2 to 3 ideas that a lot of them stick in the arsenal. Some of them we use the next day, some of them we use 2 weeks from now. Yeah. But try to go to your content shoots with at least 2 concepts. Just knock them out and use that. If you're hiring somebody to shoot you, or if you're shooting yourself, a lot of time to shoot a couple different things. And so you're not like all over the place trying to shoot.
That's amazing, Empress. Thank you so much. So insights on Reels, Stories, Grid Posts, and IGTV.
If you notice, most of the videos we post now are Reels, because Instagram is prioritizing Reels. And so that goes back to doing your homework on what is relevant in the app, the algorithm, if you will. So do your research on what is important. Do your research on algorithms. If you turn your Instagram account to a business account, it'll show you like your peak hours, your peak times, where your audience lives at, and things like that. Follow that. That's important. Like I said, we analyze everything. Nothing just put out. We think about what time we post things. Certain things aren't posted in the morning. Certain things aren't posted at night. Think about stuff like that. If you notice right now, we're only using Reels because Reels is prioritized. We do notice that Reels gets more interaction than our regular videos do. And so we go for that. Obviously, IGTV, we use that more for more long form things. I kind of don't utilize IGTV as often because it doesn't get as much love as other things. But if you have something large to put out, then obviously use IGTV, but maybe consider a YouTube for that instead of Instagram. We usually use stories just to dump things that we wanted but didn't make the grid because they weren't worthy of the grid. Because you don't want to oversaturate ever. Stories can be often used for things you really loved, but just didn't make the cut. But yeah, right now, Reels is the thing. If we're not doing Reels, we're doing just regular photo posts. And we really, really analyze the hell out of what is worthy enough to hit the grid. The grid is where the most worthy thing should touch. If it is not worthy, aka my top front point, quality, original, consistent, fits my narrative, it should not touch the grid because it's straying away from what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Don't just put stuff on the grid just to put it out. Just don't do it.
Okay, so what's happening next in content? Is there anything that independent artists need to be thinking about? And then after that, we're just going to ask you to run back down your top 5 content nuggets.
What's next in content really is just evolution. You always want to be ahead of the game. And now content is like the biggest deal ever, right? Everyone's like, let me get into the content world. And I'm seeing everyone from other celebrities to everybody else trying to get into a level of creative content. And so us as a team, the next thing is like up the ante is to what is next. Always think about what is next. That's why trends for me are kind of like I'm in the middle about them because the trend already happened. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do to be the next thing, to be the next trend, to be the pioneer for that next thing? And so I suggest anybody listening to really think about that. What is next? Not what already happened or if it happened today, it's already old, you know? Sit in your room, brainstorm what hasn't been done, what matches my brand, and what can I do to move forward? And so what's next in content for me personally is evolution on what we've already done. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And any artist listening to this too, like, do better than what you did last, do better than what you see out there. And like I said, I think starting this call out is Saweetie and I started with a camera and some apps on our phone. Look, there's so many great apps that I use to this day, like that you can go and find, and they're either free or they're $2, and you can make some dope stuff that looks like you have big bread. Like you can do that. Majority of our content, guys, is shot on an iPhone. Even the crispiest, nicest content you see come off our page is shot from an iPhone. So don't think you have to have some amazing stuff to make some amazing stuff happen, you know? It's all about your ideas and your ability to execute. Awesome. So yeah.
Okay, and then what are those top 5 things again that we should be thinking about when we're thinking about
top 5 is brand. What is your brand? What are you trying to control the narrative of? Who are you? Your mission statement. Everyone should leave this call and write a mission statement for themselves or their business after this talk. Second is quality. Always have quality stuff when you put it out. If it's not quality, it should not touch the grid ever. Third is original and creative, you know, like your ideas, like I said, should be something different. Put a spin on that trend. Really, when you watch it, have you seen it before? If you have seen it before, what's different about it? Does it impact you? Did you laugh at your video when you watched it? If I don't chuckle at my own video that was supposed to have a funny mark, then it didn't hit the mark for me, then I should be laughing at it too, you know? And lastly is consistency. Are you consistent with those top things? It should not touch, like I said before, it should not touch the grid unless it hits those check boxes. Ask yourself, is this content quality? Check mark. Is this content a narration of who I am? Check mark. Is this content creative and original? Check mark. And am I being consistent? Check mark. And if it doesn't match those things, then you need to figure out how to make it match those things so you stay consistent.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is amazing. I'm sure everybody is like clapping right now. Back when we did in-person events, it would be a roaring applause right now. So just imagine it, just hear it.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.